Three Men in a Boat, to say nothing of the dog, is an 1889 travel book, a humorous travel book, sort of along the lines of Bill Bryson, who I will come back to. Um, this is it's about three sort of seems like disreputable guys and their dog deciding to take a boat and travel up the Thames for kind of just a travelogue entertainment thing. And it sounds like that this book started off as an actual more straight travelogue, but the comedy bits, the little vignettes, kind of grew and took over the book. And indeed, they are the highlight. They're the reason that anyone would read this book anymore. It's very much kind of sitcom level comedy. Humorous things. They at one point they scowl at people in boats getting in way of the big steam engine, saying like, they're terrible, and they talk about in an earlier chapter how they were delighted in frustrating the very same steamboats. So there's that sort of humor. There's people getting lost, the three men getting on each other's nerves, somebody taking up the banjo, having arguments about who should pull, because this is basically, it's going through barges going through dry docks, trying to save money by covering the ship over and being just wet and miserable, because you're in England, so of course you're wet and miserable on your holiday. It's very picaresque. We're stringing together events after events, and indeed, this doesn't seem to be one complete trip as much as it's a couple of trips that Jerome has sort of, collected together into a story. There are odd bits of sort of very purple writing about the landscape and sort of little over sentimental bits, which they're pretty tiresome. They're not. They show the sentimental nature of the time, and it's interesting how while humor can oftentimes age, and a lot of this humor actually still sounds fairly contemporary humor. I mentioned Bill Bryson. This totally could be something. The humorous parts of this book are totally something that Bill Bryson could have written. A hapless traveler getting into mishaps on his travels is very much what this is going for. It's not so much going into the kind of the history and knowledge of the area that someone like Bill Bryson would do. So, though if it did, it would be all, I guess, out of date knowledge, because it's all from 1889. This was a super popular book at the time. This came fairly early in this guy's career as a writer, and he never did anything to approach its popularity again. He did actually write a sequel that shows, if anything shows the success of something, he wrote a sequel, Three Men in a Brummel, but that seems to be a much lesser known kind of echo footnote of this book. I've read yeah. So it is humorous. Maybe the writing level is striking. It is probably written at a fairly low English level. In the sense that reading other authors of this time, like a Victorian novelist or something like that, the language is definitely more elevated. This is much more a popular, easy to read book of its time, which is kind of notable that way. It was kind of looked down on by critics, but the general public really loved it and just ate it up as kind of hilarious, funny writing. I mean, it's something that's probably now has gotten replaced by more like sitcoms and things like that, situational comedies, that sort of thing. But it's at the time, I can see this being filling that void at the time, and people eating it up. So yeah, it was humorous. It was charming. If I was someone at the time, I'd be kind of puzzled why it was so popular, but being humorous and charming is actually a hard thing to catch, and this guy only caught it once. All right, that is Three Men in a Boat, to say nothing of the dog. The dog, which I think the odd time maybe actually talked, just because, just for humorous effect. All right, I'll leave it there.